Iko Nini. So history ya Khalif Cairo kuna vile inaendelea ku like make headlines and something very interesting. One of someone close to one of the victims alibaki ame reach out kwangu na akanirushia like a few of the interactions between Khalif na like the person, like one of the victims. And kuna hii moja ile umsali andikia Khalif Cairo akamwambia, boss, nilinunua gari in good faith, now auctioneers wananihanda gari inaenda cause your people have been lying to me. Then Khalif reply, hi chief, I'll give you my Porsche as we try to sort this issue out. Apologies, we have been having very many internal finance issues that I'm trying to resolve. My driver will drop it to you. Alafu msaka mulza, how does that sort me in the long term? I just want the car. The loan is less than 200k. Can't you raise that or come to an agreement with them? Then msaka sema, we are extremely overstretched, but we have funds incoming by this Friday. There is an ongoing finance process that I'm banking to resolve the issue. Umsaka reply, this is the same story I've been hearing from you guys for the past 2 months. I gave you guys all the time na bado many mess. Then Khalif reply, the processes take time and can be unpredictable, and sometimes if you need to travel I will offer my vehicle. Okay. Then akamwambia, the car has been taken. If I don't get any news from you by tomorrow morning, I'm taking this to the authorities, media, with all the receipts. Then kume na neko lamwambia anachukua gari aitumie over the holidays. Then aneka mwambia, there is no point, the situation is already bad for us. Doing that will just be a final nail on our coffin. We are not criminals, just a company undergoing some bad times. And this has been the issue limekuwa happen. Wasome kwa kiniandikia na niambia, this is a company that's undergoing some hard times. And so the question has been, majuzi kuna vile Rapture and alikuwa anataka Xbox ya watu wake, and then he ended up giving me the cash, and what I was supposed to do is I was supposed to buy the Xbox and then make sure that the Xbox gets to him. But try and imagine hii time Rapture alinipatia hii do, if my grandmother resurrected and got sick, and the money that Rapture has given me, I can use that money to solve my grandmother's situation. Should Rapture understand and say, that's a business issue, I'll not deliver, but and don't forget, Rapture is a very close friend, and that's why namtumia kama example. So ndio swali lazima tujiulize ikikam to his story, like how far are we supposed to give people some leeway? So wacha to go back to a few things. So after kulipatiwa hii interaction yote, pia nilipatiwa like the agreement of sale. So agreement ilikuwa made on the 19th of October 2024 between Kai and Kairo'S Limited. Then kumekuwa the car itself, it was a Volvo. Usijali kuna vitu nimesensor, but the few things sijasensor ni like the amount of money. So the amount of money ilikuwa 1,365,000, so 1.365 million. This is the money that this guy paid. Unacheki hapo pia kuna the official receipt, ikiwa payment for a Volvo V40. Then on top of that you can even see the receipt pia from ni Kenya Commercial Bank Limited, and you can see kila kitu hapa, the purchase agreement and everything. So this guy paid all this money and he never received his car. And since he didn't receive his car, someone like me shows up because I have a podcast and I'm supposed to talk about things that are happening. So I show up and I say that if someone pays, the delivery has to happen. And then naanza kuitwa hater, someone who's never done business, mse hajaifanya chochote. Alafu ikanionyesha like that's the true Kenyan attitude. Like the reason why we have all these questionable characters in parliament is because no one cares about the victims. And as I keep saying, we Kenyans are victims. We are victims of a bad system. And when we stand up against the bad system, we are killed. No one cares about the victims. This is another situation where people have been conned. You can see the money, like this is proof. Umse alifanya hii, niko sure the reason why na sensa jina yake ni he does not know that I have this document. So hii case apparently itakuwa hard next week on the 23rd. I think that's going to be a Thursday. And this guy had to pay the lawyer. Inasemekana he spent around 200,000 shillings on the lawyer. And another thing, ile inasemekana na history yote ni, na hizo zote ni allegedly, is Khalif Cairo is banking on stalling this case. That's why he wanted to go to the court system. Nakunga ile time akitweet vile they wanted me to negotiate and I refused, because he wants to use the Kenyan law system where they delay the case till eventually like for 5 years, and maybe umsata give up na asipate gari yake. But as I said, this is what allegedly. But now it gets more interesting. I'm a numbers guy, and you remember the first time when history yote happened, we talked about a Range Rover that cost, the Range Rover cost how much? The Range Rover cost 26 million. And you remember, with the Range Rover, what had happened is 20 million was still, I think the owner alirudishwa 20 million, and then there was a 6 million that was pending. So, I was thinking, could pesa ya say, like unakongole msee moja, alikuwa, I think wanaitwa Koth, kuna mwingine alikuwa anaitwa Jeff, and sasa tuangalie boy wa Volvo. Add pesa yao, it comes to around 6 million. Do you know that? Like, if you add the 2.9 million, you add the 2.1 million, and then you add this 1.3 million, it comes to just over 6 million. So try and imagine, if you owe someone who's buying a Range Rover for 26 million, if you owe them 6 million and they tell you, nataka do yangu, it's very different from someone who's buying a car ya 1 million. So 1 million, most probably it's like a hard-working Kenyan. Nacheki, this is just a hard-working, normal Kenyan. Most probably has a 9 to 5, so wakes up in the morning, goes to work, nini. Msana nunua gari ya 26 million is a sort of guy who has connections at DCI, even NIS, najua, has maybe even bad connections. Yeah, the people who can make you disappear. So if I was to do some guesswork, this is what I think happened. I think ile story ya Range vile break. So Range Rover alisema, budo usiponipatia 6 million yangu, utapatana na huyo Yesu unasema ngo napenda sana. Alafu boy akafikiria. Then around the same time, because unacheki hizi cases zote zile happen after July. If you see, they all happened after July tukikam hivi. So like in the last 6 months. So unaweza umse, like if you had to ask me, unaweza this Khalif Kairo'S guy was an honest, and I'm going to put honest in quotes because you don't stop being an honest person. But you can find he was honest till history ya 6 million. Don't forget, like another thing about these things is tulikuwa hapa na pilot Eric, and don't forget Mwambiaga say every other time with Eric, the podcast, check it out, a very great and a very dope podcast. Tulikuwa na Eric hapa, alikuwa anasema juu vile being a pilot is so expensive. So what if maybe this guy took part of that money from the Range Rover money and use it to pay for pilot classes and all those things, and then the chicken came home to roost. And when the chicken came home to roost, he saw, I'll fear this guy because this guy has money, this guy is powerful, this guy can make me meet my maker. But these other guys who are 2.9 and 2.1, those are average, like kawaida Kenyans. I won't say average because of course wako above average, but they are kawaida Kenyans kama mimi sina connections. Ukinikon, the best thing tafanya ni yes will revenge for me. Like I don't have anything, I don't have any connections, but 26 million, by the time I make that, I need to have enough connections kufanya a few people wakufikishe Ngong Forest, wakuonyesha 3 hyenas, alafu wakuonyesha kuwa hyena wagana both genitals, and you decide kama unataka kukulwa na huyo fisi. Kukulwa gani? Okay, back to the main topic. So this is what I think happened, but now we live in a very interesting society because no one cares about the victims. And msekami nikibonga juu story because right now, as you can see, I don't think there's any other podcast talking about this whole situation, and if they're talking about it, they're being diplomatic, and I don't think there are other celebrities talking about this. Like everyone is even nakunga niliwatch video fulani ile kwa Box alibonga juu story, na kibonga juu story alikuwa anambia tu nani, alikuwa anambia Khalif, like no one cares about your problems, your successes and all that bullshit. So there was that, but hakuna mtu anamnail on all the evidence shows that you're a con man and you're a fraud, and you're dangerous, you're a danger to the society. Why? Because if you are robbing innocent Kenyans, hardworking Kenyans, then it's bad. But now, as we say, allegedly, kuna dem fulani aliandika a certain post, and I was like, someone tagged me on the post because they saw what I was trying to say, so this girl wrote this. I don't know the girl, but aliandika this also on Tuesday. And on Tuesday alikuwa amesema wacha niseme initoke, as a person who was considering to give Kairo'S business to import a car and even recommend him to other people. This whole saga he's dealing with doesn't sit right. How is it possible that I'm giving you money full cost to facilitate the importation of my car, and then you fail to deliver with the excuse of tough economic times? It's like being appointed a property manager by a landlord with the responsibility of remitting rent collections, but I fail to do so even after the tenants have paid rent. Then I tell the landlord I'm not remitting money to him due to tough economic times. Bruh, that's simply theft. Sometimes it's important to call a spade a spade. And this is the example. Let's give an example here. Rapture wants an Xbox. He gives me the full amount to your Xbox. I decide I'm not going to import the Xbox for Rapture. I'm going to use his money on some other bullshit. And then Rapture kikami kule, Buddha jo, niko nataka Xbox ya watoi. Kwani kuibai? Buddha najua jo economy ni mbaya. Jo economy ni mbaya jo. Alafu wase watu kadhaa wale wananijua kwa Buddha jo, usifanye mse hivyo jo. Hiyo ni wizi. Then wewe ukuepo kwa comments kwa mwafu ni player hater. Asi Rapture ni player hater. Kwa nini uelewi that mwafa na deny hizi vitu? So that's the example. Alafu Dem akaendelea akasema he's been so hell bent on expanding and getting back at his former partner Clement. How do you as a reputable businessman get so blinded by hate and vengeance that you make such horrible mistakes by using clients' money to take up additional space previously occupied by your enemy just to show him the middle finger? Then I remember the leaked WhatsApp conversations in his work group, wishing his staff death and sickness, calling someone a prostitute. Alafu au akabaki amesema see attached. So wacha turuke kwa hiyo the email. So here's the email that was sent by a very God-fearing person. This was on 6 January 2024. The reason why I'm using God-fearing is the minute unakujaga kwa Mwafrika unamwambia I'm God-fearing na kuangaliaga tu like sasa huwa ananiambia. Mimi nikikwambia I'm Superman-fearing, does that make sense to you? No. So wacha tuende tu hii message ya the God-fearing guy. Aliandikia, I want to give a warning in this group to all respective departments plus my assistant. You have been giving information and associating to one Sony who's no longer an employee of Kai and Karo. This individual has undermined the company despite countless complaints from various sales members. No action was taken, leading to loss of sales, low morale, and poor teamwork. How she has been attending company events or getting company information can only point to collusion with members privy to sensitive company information. Continuous association with Sony will lead to dismissal, and if you happen to feel my judgment is rash or I'm overstepping, please feel free to resign. So not bad. Unajua, even as a God-fearing guy, this is a good message. Yeah. But now it gets interesting. Just so that some of you know, Sony is a shameless prostitute who I picked from the lowest bowels of trash and gave an opportunity at Kai and Karo to try and better herself when everybody, including her own mother, had given up on her. This is a person with no gratitude, remorse, or brains who is hell-bent on destroying what we have built. Please respect your jobs, and should you allow yourself to undermine the work God is doing here, remember the God card, remember that card that normally softens your heart. Here, wacha ni repeat tena. Please respect your job and should you allow yourself to be used to undermine the work God is doing here, may the worst circumstances ranging from sickness to death force your exit from my company. I will not tolerate fools. Okay. Praise Jesus. Okay. So that happened. Wacha tuendelee na historia kilude mwingine alikuwa ameandika. So kasema man's bought a watch for $250,000, was flying business class together with his babe, spinning around in a Porsche, flying around, sourcing for jets and starting a business etc. My question is, was this client's money he was using? Because that's some nasty ass business. God can't honor because that's plain theft. Also, how will you deliver a plane and you can't deliver cars? Mtu akitrai kununua ndege na ila hata amenijua uko na roho ngumu. But msewa ndege anaweza, because when is the sort of person that is steal from them, you end up in a forest. So story ya umse, So mimi najua most of you na watch kiniita hater, mseni hater, but nimekupatia receipts za mso wa Volvo. So the Volvo guy paid his 1.35 million. This car was attached to a loan. The loan was because that story is even very interesting. So this is what happened. So a different girl bought the Volvo car, and after she bought the Volvo car, she was able to pay, I think, 900,000 shillings, and then she could not raise the rest. So the company repossessed. And before the company repossessed, she akaona hizi ma adverts za Kai and Karo. So she took her car to Kai and Karo and told him, please sell the car so that I can clear without to a loan, alafu you keep the extra, alafu this, the owner of the car, of course, can go with the car because the car is going to be fully paid for. So this girl takes the car to Kai and Karo. What happens? The car is sold. So the car is sold to the guy I keep calling the Volvo guy. So the Volvo guy fully pays for his car. Ule dem kumbuka alikuwa ameinvest 900,000. So if this money has been in, she expects at least arudishwe ile 900,000 yake, alafu apatiwe on top of that apatiwe pesa ya kulipa loan, alafu sasa Mr. Kairo akip his profit ama his margin. But what happens? The car gets sold and Kairo uses all the money. So the girl loses her 900 Gs, and at the same time, this other guy loses his 1.35 million. Are you seeing? This is how much damage this one person has done with that one deal. That's how much damage is done. Alafu utakujapa na ujinga yako, wewe ni player hater. Mi si player hater. Wewe kona plan kuiba, mi ni player hater. Kwa plan kuiba, mi si player hater. Alafu aka ude mwingine kaendelea, the arrogance with which he moves on the TL, spitting on people na sa hiyo pesa ya client, nasty work. Claiming that you are being targeted by bloggers, being tested by God, na ni pesa ya client umekula is just diabolical. Let's not even get to the conversation of him saying he sold cars worth 1 billion last year. Uliuzia nani? I think this is the one thing we normally take for granted. 1 billion shillings is a lot of money. If every car you're selling is worth 2.5 million shillings, you'd have to sell 400 cars. 400 cars in 1 year, you'd have to sell at least 1 car every day, and other days you'd have to sell 2 cars. Tembea kwa hizi makayad, they'll even go a whole month without selling a single car. So this is some bullshit. And as we finish this is what I'm going to say. I'll always side with the victim. Kome kuki wachi Iko Nini long enough, uliona zile siku za back in the days before the elections, when I was talking shit about Matiangi, I was talking shit about Ruto because of his track record, and kila mtu alikuwa fuck you. I always side with the victim. Nikiangalia mseka Matiangi niko naangalia the Kisumu protest and what he did, and nikiangalia hii kitu ingine, I'm siding with the victims cause I can try and imagine, because I always remember the first time I bought a car. My first ever car was a Toyota IST, and I did stay along with it because I was just excited to have a car. And then nikaenda nayo because nilikuwa bado Ghetto Radio, nikaenda nayo, then dem flani kwa tunawak naye anaitwa Priska kaangalia kaniambia kwa nini umenunua gari ya madem. Shit, nikairudisha. I think I topped up with around 150 Gs and I got a Toyota Vista. And I remember the way I loved that Toyota Vista. Have so many memories with that Toyota Vista. I remember the way nilikuwa naamka every morning and I'd just go there and then I just drive off, and I'd feel, I was so proud of myself, like this is my first car. Unajua sijai get na loan, had paid 100% cash on it, blah blah blah. The second car that I ever owned was ilikuwa ni Toyota Noah. Toyota Noah was for business, but I remember driving it. Hata kuna hii siku moja nilikuwa na drive, alafu I don't know, nisikuwa nimeizoea. Mimi waga nimsee, I have to zoea car for me to drive it really well. That's why hata majuzi kuna best yangu anaitwa Natal wanted me to drive his Porsche Cayenne, na nikakataa because sijaendesha Cayenne. So I was like, gari sijazoea unless you take me to a very open place. So I remember there is this once, nilibaki sikuwa nimezoea gari, so nikienda kupita nini sikuwa nimesize vizuri, nikaguza bumper ya msee fulani, afu msee akatokea muaf ni aje unioni. So I still remember that car, and when I look at that car, I'm not a politician, so every shilling that I'd spent on that car was money that I'd worked really hard for. So I feel the pain of people who have to work hard for their money. So when I look at msee kama huyu who lost his 1.35 million. I look at the girl who had given Kairo the car. This case allegedly supposed to be heard next week on Thursday. So niachiki makoti wanasema umse aendi koti. Niko na kesi anafaa kuwa naenda very soon. When I look at all these people, this is what I can say. If you think I'm a hater, this is a challenge to you. Nunua gari kutoka kwa Kai and Karo and send me the receipts. The same way this victim has sent me the receipts. Send me the receipts time umebuy. Nimecheki kuna kaya dimekuwa ikishow you hapo haina magari. This is why, because this is business is all about trust. Nakunga ile trust condom. Yes. Business is all about trust. And the minute you lose that, you start losing a lot of business. So yeah, this has been my 2 cents about this. I really wanted nikuantaka kufanya story na kina Rapture, nikuantaka kuprank Rapture ni muenjoy vile siku buy Xbox yake and nilitumia do and niseme anyone who thinks nimekosea Rapture, any player hater, and yeah, I wanted to say that, but of course there's no need to take someone through that bullshit, and this is what we are saying. So mi nitaendelea kukava hii nini just because I sat with someone. Mi nikikaa nawe chini hapa alafu enda pwene mwizi, I'll call you out. Sikafikiria ati juu tumekaa chini unaweza enda uibe alafu ati I'm going to mwisha isikia gata tukijoka hapa na kina Ian tukisema I don't have a thug bone in me. Me I'm the sort of dude to snitch. And I'll snitch if I committed a crime tukiwa na mse. Now try and imagine a situation whereby you're a con man, and apart from a con man, you're using the cancer of Africa, which is religion, because religion is a cancer. If there was no religion in Africa, we'd be very far. First of all, we'd have more scientific institutions. Try to change every church that you see into a scientific institution, and then see how much change would be in your society. We'd be doing better agriculture. We'd be, like, look at Korea, then look at Kenya. Look at Japan, look at Kenya, look at China post 1985. Ile time leader aliendaga US for benchmarking, then akarudi akasema anything they are doing will do. Then what ended up happening, the Chinese ended up coping till they reached a level where wakapita hizi vitu zote. I remember majuzi nikiwatch a certain some TV experts, and they were saying that according to them, in the next 5 years, TCL and Hisense will be the number 1 and number 2 TV brands in the world. Zitakuwa zimepita Sony, LG, Samsung. Why? And these are Chinese products. Saizi Samsung, their new mini LED TV, wamekataa kupatiana pale, wamesource kuna vile source hizo panels wanatumia. Those Samsung panels have been sourced from China. Specifically, they've been sourced from Hisense. That's how much China is advancing. How many churches are in China? I think less than 10. China is like 10 times bigger than Kenya, but they don't deal with that nonsense. But nimekuwa nikisema ukitaka kuomba, as long as tukifanya biashara na wewe tusilete mambo ya kuomba hapa. Isikuwe God is testing me. Nimekupatia pesa, unaleta kile nafaa kuleta. Na cheki. Isikuwe ni story, nyanyangu sijui alipata kansa ya zizi. Hiyo ni yako na nyanyako. Iko Nini.